From Tally to Cali.
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up! Wake up!
Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by
Vitamin Energy. The vitamins.
The energy.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hutchavandi
and Corey Clark.
Wake up! It's Wake Up Warchant presented by Vitamin Energy. Coming up on today's show, if Florida State were to win a few games out in Omaha, does this team become the best ever? Is the portal more sustainable for baseball or football? We get to the rest of the questions on the Renegade Express Mailbag Part 2. Wake Up Warchant presented by Vitamin Energy. VitaminEnergy.com. Promo code Corey Clark.
Warchant BOGO.
That's right. Buy one, get one free. Warchant BOGO. Use it. Florida State alum told the people at his company, hey, I want you to program a code that people can use that listen to Wake Up Warchant and check out warchant.com. And are Florida State fans, I want them to be able to get something for free. So program Warchant BOGO into the system. Use that when you go to vitaminenergy.com, put an item in your cart. You can add another item in your cart of equal or lesser value for absolutely free. The Immune Plus got me on the right side of things towards the second half of the week. Because not only the 260 milligrams of all-natural caffeine, but also the B12 and the B6, everything. Getting you energized, feeling good. VitaminEnergy.com. Again, promo code WarChampBOGO. I think FSU1 might be a promo code that gets you 2 months for $1. Try it. Try it, everybody. And then hang on. And be a member. Like, be part of the club. Like, yeah, I get to DM Corey Clark. I get to DM Irish O'Fell. I get to read their stuff. I know what's going on. Be the guy at the office that's correcting everybody else that thinks they know what's going on with Florida State sports, but they really don't know because they're not members of Warchant.com, and you're now a member of Warchant.com. Come home. Warchant.com, Ultimate Seminole Sports Source. Corey Clark still in Georgia, but as you're listening to this, will be on the road to Hoover, or are you going to be watching Brady raking at this point?
No, I'll be on the road I'll already be in Hoover, and I'll be on the way to a baseball game at 8 in the morning. I
can't wait, man. Can we get some clips? Can we get some like live streams of Brady's ABs?
You know what? When he rips one off the fence, I will absolutely post one.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like he's done it before. Just, I don't know, like, do you feel like you're jinxing him when you do it? Or, like, whenever you film him, nothing good happens, and when you don't, something good does?
Well, the last time I filmed him, he actually ripped a single. Maybe I'll post that one. Okay. But then I feel like he went over his next 8. So it feels weird to, like, only post. I don't want to be one of those parents that, like, hey, look how awesome my son is. Look at this ball that he just juiced down the line. Yeah. And then don't show the ones where he pops up to second. You know what I mean? So I don't know.
Who does that, though?
I know, but I just feel like a fraud if I'm only showing the good hits.
Well, you can have a funny little caption to it. Be like, we're going to totally forget that he went 0 for 7 before this.
Right.
But here he is getting out of the slump. There's my guy, hashtag proud dad or something.
All right. I will. You know what? Because we're lucky enough to have a parent that films every pitch of every game, and it attaches to our Game Changer app. It's not me, no. And it attaches to our Game Changer app, so it breaks it down by every single at bat.
That's incredible.
So I can go get every single at bat by Brady. So
incredible.
At the end of this tournament, I'll break up. Hopefully, it's more than like 3. I'll break up all his hits and post them, and a couple outs too.
I hope this generation realizes how good they have it,
buddy. I know they don't, but they should. I wish they did. Man, I would have given anything to to play 45 baseball games when I was his age, or 50. Growing up, when I grew up, travel ball wasn't a thing. We played 12 games of rec ball. I got 25 at bats, and that would be my whole year. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't fall ball. That was my whole year to ruminate on those 25 at bats I had when I was 11 years old. And now they'll do that in a weekend. So no, they don't. That's one of many reasons they have it much better than we did. I also had to walk uphill to school both ways.
And hey, before we get to the rest of the Renegade Express mailbag, adding this in after the fact of Corey and I recording, but just want to catch everybody up on the press conference from Thursday before this big UConn Super Regional, which, by the way, go read Corey's story on Marco Dinges. I'm sure all of you, hopefully, saw the show on Tuesday or Wednesday when we interviewed Marco and found out apparently our guy had been battling for his life a year ago. Now he's hitting cleanup for the Noles, but Corey was able to catch up with Marco's dad, and it's just an incredible story, and it will really It might make you think that onions are being cut in your vicinity, but it'll be good for the soul on a Friday, so go check that out. But did speak to Link Jarrett on Thursday. The plan is to start Carson Dorsey today, noon, ESPN against UConn. Jamie Arnold will go Saturday. There might be some groans from the crowd on that one, but Link's explanation was, not that he didn't need to explain it to us, but basically just wanted to keep everybody on schedule, which Core's kind of hinted at earlier in the week. Carson threw on Friday last week. Jamie threw on Saturday last week. Let them continue doing that. I did see somebody bring up a kind of a good point about, well, does this mean they're not going to throw Jamie in game 1 of the College World Series if they make it out there? And it's like, well, touche. That's not a bad point. I mean, at some point, you're probably going to have to take these guys off a full 7 days rest or 6 days rest, but it will not be this week. Cam Leiter, not available this week. Probably not available the rest of the season, Link said, unless they get maybe deep into a run in Omaha, and that even sounded pretty skeptical about Link. He just said, listen, they thought things were trending well going into last week, and for whatever reason, that did not carry through. So Cam will not be available this weekend, and again, probably not the rest of the season. So those are the news and notes. Also, portal catcher Daniel Jackson Wofford, apparently Florida State has reached out to him. Batted .348, 12 dingers, 69 RBIs, 1041 OPS. Pretty good. All right, with that said, let's get back to this mailbag, y'all. Tennis Ump starts us off today in our second part of the Renegade Express mailbag, saying, wake up. Which game are you most excited about this year, and do you think that the ACC can get 2 teams in if one is undefeated and the other one only has 1 loss? Thanks as always.
Yes, they can. It's a fair. The second part is we'll answer first. I do think that's absolutely possible. I think there's a chance they could have 2 teams in with 1 loss and 2 losses, as if they're trying to make up for what happened last year. And so I definitely think that's a possibility. 3 losses, no chance.
Right.
But 2 losses, if they're the good team, decent teams, and it's a close game in the championship game, like if Miami ends up beating Florida State in November or October, whenever they play, and then losing to them in Charlotte, but they only have 1 loss,
right,
and it's to a team they beat earlier in the year, then yeah, I think they're in.
Yeah,
and I think Florida State would be in if they beat Miami. Well, they'd be in no matter what with ACC championship.
Right. Yeah, that 12-1. Yeah, 12-1, you're in. I mean, I think 11-2, you're in probably as well.
But what will happen, Aslan, is let's say that happens to Miami. They beat Florida convincingly to start the year. They have a really good year. They're 12-0. They're number 5 in the country. They lose to a 10-2 Florida State team in Charlotte. Now, let's say they're number 2 in the country.
Yeah,
they lose to number 11 Florida State in Charlotte, 31-30. What people don't realize, and what the people back in 2014 didn't realize, because they kept telling Florida State fans, "You're going to be in. Who cares? As long as you're in, you've got a shot." Well, buddy, it's a lot different to be playing in New Orleans against a third-string quarterback than it is going to California for the second time in 11 months to play the Heisman winner. Like, that's a different matchup. It's a bad matchup. Matchups matter. Florida State fans would have been all over New Orleans in 2014, and I feel like that game goes differently for Cardale Jones if he's playing that Florida State defense. I just do. I think Florida State wins that game, and then playing Oregon for the national championship. I think that happens, but they're like, no, you get in. And, yeah, Florida State had a shot to win the game. Like, they got their chance. They weren't just left out. But that stuff matters, and going back to this point, in a real world, Miami, even with that loss, should be probably a top 4 seed.
Right.
But no, instead they'll be on the road for the first round. But all the people will say, hey, who cares? You're in, right?
No,
you're in. You made it. Okay, but now you got to go play at Ohio State in December, as opposed to either getting a home game, which you should get, you should be a host, or getting a bye. But they'll just be like, you should be happy that you're in. That's the next wave of this. Just be happy you're in, little brother. Don't worry about you don't get a home game, or don't worry about one of those top 4 buys. You're just in. So go try to win 3 games in a row, all 3 on the road.
Wouldn't they be at home though? If they're not one of the top 4 seeds, they'd be on campus, which is not a big advantage for them.
I think they would go from number 2 in the country to number 9. So then they have to go on the road for the first game. Is what I'm saying.
Okay, all right.
If they were 5 through 8, they'd be a home team, but they won't do that. But they'll be like, "What are you complaining about? You're in. We gave you a chance. Go win." It's like, well, no, man. It'd be a lot easier if we were playing at Hard Rock. Everybody knows how hard it is to win at Hard Rock. That place is like hell on earth. You don't go in there and win at Hard Rock. Certainly not by like 40 points.
Like you mentioned, your two losses, one of them's you lose a 31-30 game or you lose to a team that's ranked. Like, is the grading going to be easier or harder with a 12-team playoff? Like, because you're going to start quibbling over a 9-3 SEC team versus a 9-3 Big Ten team. And then, like, are you looking at those three losses and it's like, man, they lost to Iowa. They lost to Iowa this year, and Iowa's been horrible. Like, does that matter or...
Man, who knows? You're asking to apply logic to this committee. Who knows? Alabama needed a 4th and 30 miracle to not get their second loss of the season to an average-ass Auburn team. And then they're in the playoff. They have to be in the playoff. So there's no logic to it. I think what will happen is the smoke and mirrors will be, hey, ACC fans, don't be upset. Like it's gonna be the shell game. Don't be upset. Don't look at what my right hand is doing. You got in. You got two teams in. Isn't that exciting? Sorry, you're both on the road. Right. And then if you win, you get to play Georgia in Mercedes-Benz or whatever it is. We let you in. Aren't you happy? Yeah. So that's what I think. More people will be too concerned with the 13th team that's left out than they will be the seeding from 5 to 12 or from 1 to 12. Yeah. That to me, that's going to be the unobserved, unnoticed part where the SEC bias still reigns supreme. And it's going to reign supreme all over, but it's going to be in those seedings where they're going to get home games that they shouldn't get, and they're going to be like, well, look, Ole Miss, they only lost Auburn by 3, and they beat this team and that team, and they're the best 10-2 team in the country. Yeah, we know Miami only lost on a last-second field goal, but we think Ole Miss should host. Yeah. And that's where they're going to see the bias really take precedent in this new formula they have, I think. And nobody will be talking about it because they'll just be telling you should be happy that you're in.
No, I haven't even thought about that, and that's a scary proposition because you are right. That is going to definitely happen. The clumsy thing I was trying to say, I just think when you start quibbling over 3 lost teams, like no one's going to have 3 quality losses, I feel like.
Right.
I feel like everyone's going to have like a one weird game. So like if Florida State were to lose to SMU, like I don't think that's a killer. It's not like, we ended up losing to a team that wasn't ranked. It's like, well, hey, man, like everybody else that's in the 10-2, 9-3 pod probably had a bad loss. I doubt it was like they starched all the great teams, or lost all the great teams and only beat up on the poor teams.
Well, the cool thing is that if you win your conference, you're in. So as long as so every team.
I know, but you mentioned that like that's an easy access. Well, that's going to be hard. I mean, like
no, I'm just saying you do control your own destiny in that sense, though, right? Like if you win, you're in.
Yeah.
So if you lose to SMU, but that's your only ACC loss, or you somehow backdoor into the Charlotte and you can win that game, you're in. So you do control your own destiny, unlike the 2023 Florida State team that did not.
I was going to ask a question, but no, I'm not going to do it. Toby Knoll, 98. Gentlemen, good morning, and go Noles. Florida State University is a place where good coaches want to come, and they stay here a very long time, all the while building winning programs. Willie Taggart seems to be the only coach I can remember being fired in the last 20 years. Mike Martin Jr. would like to word with you, Toby. We've had multiple athletic directors during this time. What do you think attributes to this phenomenon? I put this in the group text. What did I say? UConn has had 4 baseball coaches since like
World War II.
Yeah, it's incredible. But yeah, Florida State, when you think about Bowden and Leonard and 11, and probably what Link is going to be and what you hope Mike's going to be and what you hope Lonnie's going to be. Yeah,
Bob Raymond's been there for 20 years. Trey Jones has been there forever. Dwayne Holquist at tennis. Jennifer Hyde, the women's tennis coach. It's been a lot of people that stay for a long time, yeah.
Any theory as to why that is? Is it luck? Do we not? Is it the bubble? Do we not realize that maybe Georgia maybe has 4 coaches at their campus that's been there for 25 years, or is it just some sort of confluence of magic in Tallahassee here in God's country?
I think in those Olympic sport, what do we call them? Do we call them non-revenue or Olympic? I forget. I know we go back and forth.
I think Olympic is less. I mean, non-revenue. That's really a polite, rude way to reference.
It's absolutely a backhanded compliment. Yeah. It's not even a compliment. It's
accurate.
Yeah, it is.
Olympic. We'll say Olympic.
Hey, all these schools that make no money, what do we call them?
Right.
No, I think when you get a job at Florida State and you're consistently pretty good at a place like Florida State, where are you looking to go? Yeah. Like, there's not a lot of upward mobility in those sports, in my opinion. And plus Florida State is, where would Trey Jones want to go? What's a better golf program? Where's a better place to go coach golf? Where's a better place to coach softball with the money being similar? And now, is Alabama going to come after Trey Jones and offer to double his salary? Is that something that college administrators do for golf? Maybe they do for softball because the ratings keep climbing and going higher. But for golf, for tennis, for soccer, when there's not a lot of eyeballs on those sports throughout the year, I think it keeps the changeovers to a minimum. As long as you're winning. As long as you're winning, I think that it's a place that you'd want to stay at. And I don't think there's a lot of better – when you think of these sports, there aren't that many more places you'd rather go. No. I think Lonnie's the only one you have to worry about out of any of those. Who's our the beach volleyball? Yeah, and like Brooke Niles for beach volleyball, like she's got one of the 4 or 5 best programs in the country. We are waiting on that national championship, Brooke, and we know it's coming. They get to the cusp every year. They're really good. Is she going to go to Pepperdine? And I don't know that Pepperdine is looking for a coach. I do think, but going back to Aslan's original point, I know Georgia's tennis coach was there for like 30 or 40 years. Their gymnastics coach maybe just retired. Like I think at these prominent athletic schools, like Florida State, like Georgia, like Florida, I think those Olympic sports, those coaches do have a way of staying for a long, 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 long time, as long as there's no scandal and as long as they keep winning games.
But looking at, and we're always looking at football, right? I mean, you see what Miami's been through, you see what Florida's been through, and then it makes you realize that, we sit here and we gnash our teeth and boo-hoo over the lost decade and, Jimbo's end and Willie and the rocky start of Norvell's tenure. And it's like, relatively speaking to our peers, like we have it so good. And it's hard to kind of like focus on that sometimes. Because I guess like you obviously want to be better than Miami. You want to be better than Florida. So like that's an acceptable thing to you. Like it's not like a surprise or something you should be grateful for. It's like this is the way it should work. Florida State should be.
Well, it's crazy that the 3 most prominent sports on campus, well, maybe softball's snuck in there now, have always been football, men's basketball, and baseball. From 1980 to 2009, a 30-year stretch, you had the same baseball and football coaches on your campus. That's crazy. That'll never, ever happen again.
Like what,
Mike Martin and Bobby
3
Bowden.
basketball coaches, too?
Yeah, well, no, they went through it. They probably 5. But, yeah, Leonard's been here for 20 years, 21 maybe now. But I don't think that's normal for those big sports, for the longevity that you had with 11 and Bowden. I don't think that's going to happen again. I don't think Norvell's going to retire here. Maybe Link does, but I definitely don't think Norvell does. And Leonard, I guess, will soon. But after that, it's going to be Florida State is going to get a dose, like they already have in football, of the modern world of college sports. I think you're going to have a basketball coach for 3-4 years and going to have to go hire another one. And that's just how it works from here on out. But those minor sports, those Olympic sports, there's not really a lot of money to go chase. So as long as you're happy and content and you're making a good living and you love what you do, which I assume most of these coaches at Florida State do, and you win games, you could be here for decades, clearly. And shout out to Bob Raymond, who just announced his retirement, the track coach who's been here well over 20 years, or right at 20 years, and won 3 national championships here. So a good career for old Bob Raymond.
Real quickly, Corey, do you foresee the changes that are going to be made to football enhancing the quality of life for a guy like Mike Norvell and his peers, or making it to where like they're legitimately going to get burnt out by recruiting, retaining, fundraising, coaching, rinse and repeat?
Oh yeah, it's not yes, you would get burnout eventually. This is not something you could do. Maniacal as Norvell is about it.
Well, hey, use a different word. They don't like that word.
So it's the right word, maniacal. I know we got a couple people that were upset on YouTube about that word, but I'm maniacal about sports trivia. We all have something in our lives we're maniacal about. Yeah. And that's not a pejorative. It's not a negative. No. It means you are hyper-focused to the point of almost unrecognizability. No. You're just consumed by it. You're a maniac to win baseball games. No. Not a maniac as far as wielding a knife. You're just a maniac in what you care about and trying to do it. Like Michael Jordan was an absolute maniac. He was a maniacal
Yes.
competitor.
Well said.
So was Kobe. They were maniacal in their pursuit.
Tom Brady.
Yeah, I mean, that's. I know there's another. It's probably a better word, but maniacal fits too when you're talking about their pursuits and their singular focus in those pursuits. I think that you can't be like this in college football. I just don't think your brain can handle it. I think there is absolutely a burnout scenario and factor that will come in with all these coaches if it doesn't change. But hopefully it will change here soon, and there'll be more stability in the sport.
We segue to Old City Knoll 15. Wake up. That might be a new person. I don't recognize that name. Welcome. And if you haven't been here before, sorry, I don't remember you. But I'm sure it was memorable. Just a lot of people. Wake up! Coach Jarrett, Coach Norvell have both done a great job in the transfer portal and put together teams that have seen success quick. 2 questions. Is the re-upping each year in the transfer portal more sustainable and allow for a more successful future, parenthetically, in baseball or football? Also, why have we not been able to see this success with basketball? Is it strictly lack of money devoted towards NIL? Thanks. Love the show.
Yes. The first question was is Norvell's.
Well, no.
Is
Which is easier, going to the portal? It's more sustainable going to the portal to keep success in football or baseball?
Oh.
Probably baseball, right? I mean, it's just a smaller roster you have to fill.
Oh, by the way, they got a pickup. The baseball team got a portal commitment on
JU
on Wednesday. Yeah, kid that was like really good in 23 and then struggled a bit in 24, but apparently has really good stuff. Was on the USA under 20 national team. Was considered like a top 20 prospect for the 2025 draft. And he struggled a little bit this year. He had an ERA over 4, but before that, the year before, he was awesome. So you know what's in there, which is good.
Evan Crest, by the way.
Righty. Good to be adding arms. Yeah. I would think. I mean, I just think there's more money coming in football, but it's more money you got to spend. So I don't know. It's hard to say because I don't know the numbers, man. It's hard to guesstimate with the numbers because I don't know what the numbers are. For portal college baseball, I can't imagine for the vast majority, the non-Tommy Whites of the world, I can't imagine they're getting tons of money.
Yeah,
the portal kids. I can't.
Marco's a walk-on. Maybe after maybe after April, he was able to negotiate maybe something, but
I mean, most of them are walk-ons, man. Like you have 11 scholarships for 33 kids or
11.7, Corey. 11.7.
Sorry, 11.7 for 35 kids. So if you do the math. Each kid, even if they're a quote-unquote scholarship athlete on a baseball team, is getting about 25 to 30% scholarship. Yeah. And I know for a fact, I don't know anything about this team, but I know for a fact Florida State in the history of their school has never, given a kid a full scholarship right out of high school. I think Buster and JD got full scholarships their last years. But before that, they weren't on full scholarships. Yeah. And they'll offer a kid that's a first-round pick, hey, we'll give you a full scholarship if you come to Florida State. They never do. This is back in the day, just 5-10 years ago. So maybe now they will, but you can't do it. You've got to break that money elsewhere. You've got to distribute it to try to get a team. So yeah, it's not college baseball isn't a moneymaker. You don't get into college baseball to get rich. I think there are some kids now going into college football and especially into college basketball that can get rich playing those sports. I don't think that's something you think is ever going to happen in college baseball. There's just not enough revenue and interest for the sport.
But Rising Spears had a hand in this.
Sure, yeah.
I just don't think they have not nearly spent as much as football has. But in terms of the returns, they're 2 wins away from going to Omaha, so they're getting every bit as much out of their money as what Battle's End has pumped into it. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like your Cam Smith, James Tibbs, you're going to have to recruit those kids still, right? You're not going to be able to get Tommy Whites out of the portal every single year. Feels like pitchers, you might be able to find those kind of guys. But
it's weird with baseball though, right? And I'm a guy that's going through it with a son that's a teenager. The parity everywhere. There are great players, very good players everywhere. That kid from Stetson, their leadoff hitter from Athens, Georgia. He had 360 this year. He had 2 bombs in the regionals. I'm not putting this out. I have no inside information. I don't know that he'll be at Stetson for his whole career. He was a freshman that batted .360 and hit 2 bombs in a regional from Athens, Georgia. He might be the center fielder for the Georgia Bulldogs next year. But they're not going to have to spend a ton of money for him.
Right.
But there's guys like that everywhere. There's Cantus, there's Faroes, there's Dingises.
Max Williams.
Max Williams. There's guys out there everywhere that want to that are good, and sometimes they're playing at smaller schools like Atlantic Sun. Sometimes they're not playing as much at big schools like Alabama. That want to go place to shot. They are always that lake is always going to be chock full of guys that can help your team. It really hurts the incoming freshmen because then now they don't have. It's just hard, man. There's 22-year-olds. College baseball is becoming a very old game with only 20 rounds in the draft. College baseball is becoming a very and all the portal movement where most of the starters for Florida State this year are what 21, 22.
Yeah.
It's hard when you're 18 coming into that, man. You've been playing U15. When you were playing 15U ball, these guys were in college, and now you're facing them. Or when you were playing 11U, they were 15U. Now you're facing them, and they're grown men. They're better than you right now, and it can be tough to catch up. So, it's just the college baseball's been. I know this wasn't really the question. College baseball's been really, really impacted by the portal, but Florida State should be fine there. They will always have a big lake to fish from. Football, I don't know where the numbers are going. Right. Hopefully they're not crazy enough where Florida State can still keep fielding teams like this.
That to say, I still think it's sustainable for success in both.
Yep.
I think Link's going to probably have an easier job than Mike Norvell going to the future, though. Not because of one's prowess over the other, but I think just the lay of the land and the branding and everything. I think Florida State baseball certainly is much more of a slam dunk. No, I shouldn't say that. That sounds like I'm. Yes, baseball. Final answer.
Okay, there you go.
And basketball, it does seem to be. I'm assuming, Corey, there's just not funds there because it's you get to play against really good schools. You get a lot of notoriety playing against those good schools. You get to come to Florida State, really good university, cool city. I would assume that there's only so much money to go around, and for whatever reason, basketball probably does not have as large of a war chest as everybody else at this point.
Well, and I made the plea months ago about that if you're a big money booster, if you happen to own Spanx, that one time as a going away present, give Leonard these great players that are going to be in the portal, and clearly that has not happened. They got the third leading scorer from South Dakota. So that money did not come in. Jameer Watkins ain't coming back, apparently. All the guys that were on the team left. So I guess, and I can see it, if I had a guy that loved Florida State, if I had a lot of money that I wanted to give some money to Rising Spear, I wanted to help the basketball team, would you feel like you're throwing your money away in that you're going to have a new coach next year anyway? Is this just a waste of my $100,000 to try to get you a starting backcourt, knowing that it's only going to be for a year, and then we're going to have to do this all again? And the new coach is going to want some assurances that the NIL space will be there for him. And I just lost $100,000 that I could have saved for him to help that thing get off the ground. So yeah, it clearly my plea didn't work. I do better with video boards than I do with getting big money people to give to basketball. But yes, there's just clearly not the money's not there to go get impactful players.
Our guy Mark out in Naples, Adam CZ, pumped for the Super Regional despite the 3 straight scheduled starts of noon or earlier, but in all likelihood, first pitch will be closer to 5 if there's a few clouds in the area, right?
Let's hope.
Speaking of bizarre weather, Corey, have you experienced a climate more bizarre than Atlanta? I was there for 2 years. I remember snow on a Thursday, playing golf in shorts and 70 degrees on a Saturday. Not exaggerating. What importance do you put on James Tibbs III returning to form this weekend? To me, if he's the hitter we know he is, we likely sweep UConn, and it's a restful move on to Omaha, especially the way that we pitched last weekend from starter to bullpen. Also, favorite ballpark snack for me, bag of sunflower seeds or peanuts or pistachios, he says, Corey. All shells on. Take some work to get to the good stuff. Give me some ice-cold beers to sip on through the 7th-inning stretch, and it's a great day. Hope to see a post-game war chant rap if we clinch a trip to Omaha. Go Noles, no mercy.
Yeah, it's too bad I won't be there. I guess I could do one remotely, a war chant rap but yes, that's certainly deserving of one. Atlanta, I think, yes, the weather here is crazy. It can be crazy. I think apparently Denver is out of control with the fluctuation. The Rockies games, it'll be 71 degrees, and then by the fourth inning, it's snowing. That stuff doesn't happen in Atlanta. But, yeah, it can be it's remarkable how the weather turns in Atlanta. But every city has that joke. Like, hey, if you don't like the weather, just wait 20 minutes.
Yep.
Every single city has that joke. I think it does apply a little bit more in Atlanta, but I think every city is like that. With Tibbs, I was thinking about it. So he really had 2 bad games. You can't say the first game was a bad game because he walked 4 times. Right. He was 0 for 1 with a walk. The next 2 games were not Tibbs games against UCF. So let's say, what have they played, Aslan? 60 games?
Sounds about right.
They're 45 and 15. So he had 2 bad games in a row out of 60. So that's 1/30th of the season. That's 3%, 3% of the season? That's like the equivalent of a really good basketball player having a bad half. He just had it's on a bigger stage, and it's going to be dissected more because it's the postseason. But it was 2 bad games in a season full of great ones. So I just think I hope he doesn't put too much stock into that, and he just realizes he just missed a couple home runs. He barely missed a grand slam. He just got under it. It was a good swing, and he brings the confidence he's had all year into this weekend, and he'll be fine. Just don't swing at balls, James. If they want to walk you, let them walk you. You got good hitters behind you. But yeah, if he is his normal self, and you can put, well, UConn's got pitching, man. But if you can average what you average per game, which is around 8 runs, you should be in Omaha this time next week. You should be heading to Omaha. So hopefully that happens.
Well, I think the postseason overall hasn't been friendly to James. I think in Charlotte, some of the stuff, for whatever reason.
Oh, that doesn't count. I don't count Charlotte. Okay. Charlotte's not the real postseason. This is the postseason, and he was bad. He was bad against UCF. But, don't you think it's like – that guy's it's a matter of time. Like,
no.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
I've confidence he's going to bounce back. And I also, it's the insurance almost of having Cam Smith. It feels like if one of those guys shows up, they're going to be okay, but they're going to need both of those guys to show up if they go to Omaha, Nebraska, and they want to stay out there for longer than a few days.
Right, correct. Can they get that Jacksonville kid to join the team now?
That'd be
nice.
That'd be awesome. Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. More than nice. It's great. Fantastic. 2475 Appalachia Parkway. Put that in your GPS. Open daily from 11 a.m. to 2 a.m. And their daily lunch specials start when the doors open. Only $8.99 from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. for the daily special today. Chicken strip basket. Hand-breaded. Serve with a dipping sauce or tossed in a sauce of your choosing. And also a plethora of side dish options. Straight fries, curly fries, onion rings, potato salad, coleslaw, broccoli, side salad, tater tots, or freshly cooked potato chips. Corey endorsed those earlier in the week. So go check out the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Corey won't be there this weekend, though, so everybody else has got a chance to walk tall with swagger in there like they're important now that you're
just tell them you know me. Out. If you go to the bar or you tell one of the servers that you know Corey Clark, everything's on the house.
Okay.
That's not true. But still tell them. They'll be like, oh, yeah, he's in here a lot. He's really awesome and funny and sweet and kind and handsome. They always say that kind of stuff about me. So just tell them you know Corey Clark. You're friends with Corey Clark. And it is always cool when I'm sitting with Bill because I do that a lot. And somebody will come over and say, oh, I came in. I'm from out of town. I had to stop at Corner Pocket because I hear you guys talking about it all the time. Yeah. And they'll say that to me in front of the owner.
Yeah,
which
nice.
is like, Bill, buddy, it's paying for itself, big dog. It's paying for itself. And that has happened countless times over the last couple years.
All right, home stretch. Walking Nolo 1. What's up, you two? Do we know if there will be an official Warchant subscriber Dynasty League for the new College Football 25 football game? Cross-play not enabled for this game in Dynasty mode where you would rebuild a team of your choosing. I've got a PS5, so I'd need to be in the PlayStation League. If this will be a thing, I just want to call dibs on being in on it. This may be a question for Ben or Matt. I think he's calling us old. Yeah. I don't know if you two are into gaming. I'm not really either, but I'm coming back for this one. Thanks for all you do. Hopefully I can spot y'all at the game on Saturday. Our guy Walker, he was actually he came out for the golf tournament and was at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.
All right,
Yeah, I'll touch base with the Utes on our staff, Ben and Matt, and see what's going on with this. I love the game, being in college. I remember I would literally you'd go on eBay and people would auction off their services to load a memory card of all the rosters, because otherwise it was just like it was like quarterback 3. Or it would be QB 13. It wouldn't say Jordan Travis. So you would you'd bid on it. It'd be like $3.99, $5.99. And Corey, I'd mail out a memory card to somebody in Iowa. They would load up the rosters on the card. I'd send them return shipping, and then they would mail it back to me. I'd put it in my Xbox, and then it was game on. So I was ears deep in it, but no longer. I'll see. I know these are things, dynasties and leagues, crossovers. I'll see if Matt and Ben know the ins and outs of that and whether or not we can set something up, and you indeed will have dibs on it, our guy Walker.
My experience with that game was I played it a couple of years, and I was a complete nerd to the point where I stopped playing the games. All I cared about was recruiting.
I know a lot of people are like that, yeah.
And I wanted to get the highest recruiting rankings possible, so I would simulate the seasons.
That's what everybody
just
does.
To get to the recruiting. But what I think this is where I took it to the next step, Aslan. I think I was playing this in like 2004, and I think I'm into like the 2018 season. And I've got all these 5 stars. Like literally I signed like 11, 14, 16 something 5 stars in one class. They've all matriculated. They've declared they're going pro. I've got 22 guys entering the draft. And I'm like, man, I want to see where my guys get drafted. I didn't have Madden, but one of my buddies did. So I went to his house. I had to download the college game. I don't remember how I did it, but the file from my college game with all the draft prospects had to go over to the Madden game. And then I had to start a franchise with that draft. That's right. I had to simulate 16 seasons of Madden to get to the 2019 draft. And then I wanted just to see where my guys got drafted. And literally, I went over there at 11 o'clock, and I left at like 3:45 in the morning. And one of the guys that was with us is like, I don't understand what's going on. We're not playing the game. I'm like, shut up. We're simulating. The Falcons just lost again. So finally, after 4 hours, I got to see where my guys got drafted. And they weren't drafted as high as I thought. Like, I had All-Americans everywhere that were going in the 3rd or 4th round. What? So, yeah, that's the nerd I was back then. I will not play it again. But, yeah, we should try to find whatever he was saying, whatever those words meant about crossover and dynasty leagues or whatever he was saying. We probably should set something up.
I think EA actually had like a Madden blend variety flavor that was like you were just a GM or a coach. Like you didn't like necessarily play games against each other. Like you would just assemble a team and then it would simulate the actual games. It was
the problem
really
I think with that one
level.
was that like it wouldn't give you the option to simulate the entire season. I don't think it would just simulate every week. So once the week stopped, I would have to go through the menu all over again and find simulate week. I'd have to do that literally for hours just to get to that stupid draft. And then it's not like I could print out anything and go hang it on the fridge. I just saw it and was like, okay, cool. See you later, man. Thanks.
Oh,
good
times. Tremendous. S-Quinn67, wake up. Looked like the Hauser crowd was pumped for the games this past weekend. I'm sure this weekend they will be even more fired up. Let's go, Noles. Question. If this team makes it to the College World Series and wins a few games, where will it rank among the best teams in FSU history? Thanks for the great content. Go Noles, S-Quinn67, class of 93.
If it what now?
If they win a few games. Where
in Omaha.
Where are they going to rank amongst the best teams in FSU history?
I don't know. That's hard to say, man. It's not like football where you go immediately to national championships. I guess you go to the teams that finish runner-up, which was a couple of them. If it wins a couple of games and finishes 4th in the country out there or something, it's high. It's certainly one of the better offenses they've ever had. I did that story like a month ago, and then they immediately got shut out. But I did that story a month ago about how good the offense had been, and it's right up there with like 99 and 2008 and JD's last year. Maybe not quite on the JD level because they had him and Jeremy Morris. That offense was incredible. But then they lost in the regional to David Ross and Tim Hudson. So, it's hard to say. I would say if you win a couple of games in Omaha, that hasn't happened a lot. So if we're gonna judge it based on that, just on how they finish in the postseason, I think you could call them top 5. How many Florida State teams have won at least twice out in Omaha?
I'm trying to look at it real quick.
When's the last time they won their first 2 games in Omaha? Has that happened?
87 maybe?
I was going to say, has that happened since, I don't know, Bill Clinton's was inaugurated? I mean, it's been forever.
I think 99 they had to go through the losers bracket. So I don't know. I type on College World Series and it doesn't take them to the actual bracket. They did not even, they lost their second game. They lost to Stanford in 99 in the second game out there. And in Omaha in 87, they lost their first game. So go figure.
86 was the one they made it to the championship.
Oh, I should go back and look at that one then. For some reason 12 just sticks in my craw as just like such unfulfilled potential. I know 13 ended up losing the next year in a super to Indiana. That might have even hurt a little bit more, but I feel like when we talk about those finalist teams, like after them, to me, like 12 is like the best team outside of those finalist teams. They did win their first 2 out there that year. They beat Indiana State and beat Miami.
When? What year? Oh, in 86?
86, yeah. But then they lost to Arizona, had to go through some sort of weird bracket, but then ended up in the finals and lost to Arizona 10-2.
Yeah.
That's a weird. You should look at that sometime. Look at that 86 bracket. It makes no sense. But yeah, if they win 2 games out there, I probably have to put them ahead of 12 because 12 only won 1 game out there, and it was like
yeah. But is that how we should judge baseball teams and seasons? Is what they do in Omaha? Like if they don't win it all, I mean, like if you go 2-1 or 2-2, does it? Or if you go 1-2 or 2-2, it's not that big a difference. Like the 2012 team, though, man, I just wish, looking back, I wish they could have gotten Luke Weaver more involved on that team earlier because they had Lee Brandt, who was good. I can't remember who the other starter was.
Compton, right?
Yeah, Compton. There you go. Good memory. And then Weaver ended up being a first-round pick that wasn't used a ton that year, and they could have obviously used him. They lost, of course, because they did. They lost their opening game. I remember it was 3-3, bottom of the ninth. They got the leadoff runner on. James Ramsey coming up. He walks on a 3-1 pitch that's called a strike, and then he strikes out on the next pitch. It would have been first and second, nobody out, with the winning run at second base. And instead, he ends up striking out, and they don't score, and they don't win that game. They win their next 2 games, and then they're out of pitching and lose then. So, yeah, I was looking it up, man. They don't win a lot in Omaha. I don't know if that's breaking news for the people listening to this show, but they do not win their first game out in Omaha, or first 2 games. Certainly, I'm looking now. They didn't do it in the 90s at all. Yeah. So that would that really have been the only time, Aslan?
86, yeah. When they go 2-0 to start it off, yeah.
Golly. So, yes, I would just love to see that. Just love to see it, just for them to feel that, because it hasn't happened, obviously. In 35 years? Is that how long it's been? What year are we in? 38 years? Good night.
Yeah.
Anyway, next question.
That 2002 team won 60 games, but they did not make it to Omaha. So it's hard to talk about them being like one of the favorites.
Well, that's what I'm saying, but teams, you know what I mean? And the JD team was awesome, and they got walked off on their home field in a regional to a major league catcher, and then lost to a borderline Hall of Fame starting pitcher in the championship game with Tim Hudson. Certainly a perennial all-star, Tim Hudson. Like that team was really, really good. And just because they blew a game in walk-off fashion, I don't know that means they're not one of the best teams in Florida State history. Yeah. That's all.
Gator Kirk, wake up. Will sponsorship logos be allowed on jerseys and helmets for FSU sports in the future? I would assume on the jersey. Helmet, like maybe on a baseball or softball on the back of the helmet. I would hope football helmets will not have decals on them for sponsorships, but I would not be surprised if at some point football teams have a crest on the shoulder or whatever.
I mean, the Atlanta Braves have a big yellow Quickcrete.
Yeah. I shouldn't say like the NFL, like the NBA and the MLB.
Yeah, but MLB does it, so it's a money making revenue. It's money stream. So I assume it's all on the table these days, man.
Yeah, who's going to say no right now to making money, right? Who's
yes.
like, We got
for the sanctity of the sport,
Right.
which has been down the drain for years now.
Armchair Osceola, Corey, you were discussing Brady being friends with future professional athletes. The move might be for him to develop an interest in finance. Start talking compound interest, time and value of money, tax-deferred accounts, trusts.
Yeah.
Then when all his friends need a financial professional to manage their signing bonuses, who are they going to call? Brady Clark.
Or he could be an interpreter that just makes bets for his guys. Just be smarter about it. Just be smarter about it. Or get the inside info like the old Alabama coach, the baseball coach. If I have somebody that's, get that inside info and relay it to the people at the casino. No, you don't understand. My friend is the starting pitcher. He's going to hit the first 7 guys. This is a no-doubt win. Let me make my bet.
Considering that I live in an apartment in New York City, this is our guy that's going to Mallorca, too.
Right.
Lives in
Living
Manhattan,
the
go to
dream.
Mallorca. Look at this guy. I hereby declare that should I happen to win the Cummins portable power generator, or rather the portable power station or the portable generator, at the end of the year, I will be donating it to a party in need. Oh, all right.
Okay.
Everybody's got the same odds, Armchair, so you can't sweet talk your way into heaven. You can to heaven, but you can't in winning a generator. But duly noted and very good. Thank you for your commitment to excellent content in the heart of the summer. Go Noles.
Hey,
Shout
you're
out.
welcome, and I'll take a generator if he wins it. So now I'm rooting for him to win.
All right. Last one, Corey. We did it. We made it. Look at that.
All right.
All these questions. Awesome. Random_John.
By the way, real quick before you start that, I would also throw out the 2003 Florida State team. You said 2002. That 2003 team was number 1 in the country.
Yes.
And they were, what were they,
hosed.
54-11, and they had to play
The defending national
Texas.
champions.
Yeah, but also the 9 overall seed. So why wouldn't the number 1 overall seed get the 16 seed? Or whoever won the 16 seeds bracket, regional? Why would Texas be matched up, the number 9 overall, a top 10 team, why would they be matched up with the number 1 team in the country when there were worse teams to play? That was just more dumb college baseball and more Florida State bad luck in the postseason.
The reason I don't mention them real quick, the 2003 team, is because for whatever reason, my friends that were much more into baseball than I was had poisoned the well and were like, we're not winning this. Like we're going to lose. Like just the way it is, like we're going to lose. And they all believed in 2002. Like we all believe, we're like, man, they got Notre Dame. They won something. They were like on a 20-game winning streak.
Yeah.
Something bizarre going into the Super Regional against Notre Dame. You're like, it's Notre Dame, man. So let's not think about that with UConn. But we're not, man. Link's got them dialed in. Random_John. How are you both doing today? I'm well.
Yeah,
Corey,
great.
doing well?
Thank you. I'm great. Thank you.
With the doldrums of summer fast approaching and after FSU wins the College World Series, amen, brother, what should we do with our time regarding a lack of FSU sports? Touch grass, spend time with family, boring, winky emoji. Give us all some ideas to fill our time this summer when absolutely nothing is happening. I appreciate any and all ideas. You all have a great day and go Noles. Corey's going to say again the gym. I'll probably say again the gym as well. Start a garden. Start a garden, everybody.
Be a big brother or big sister. Volunteer your time. Avoid the heat. You know what I did when I got every, back when DVDs were still a thing, I got every best picture of my life from the year I was born until now. Well, I stopped doing it 10 years ago, but I bought every best picture and watched them and had them as a collection.
Yeah.
So you could do that. Art, watching and appreciating art is always fun. So a lot of things you can do. But I'm not clearly I don't have a lot of great answers. Museums, push-ups at museums.
Don't check out of warchant.com. I mean, there's going to be something going on. There's going to be individual camps. There's going to be visits, OVs, as the kids call them.
Yep.
I mean, we should have probably. I mean, maybe we'll rehash the top 40 at some point over then. I feel like there's something. We'll have kickoff going on. ACC kickoff will be going on.
Yeah, that's coming up.
Yeah. But why I say to grow a garden is when we were in Ireland, Corey, we went to Ambrose Congreve's garden, which I think is like the second largest private garden in the world. And he had this fantastic quote. And I leave you all with this as we head into the weekend, and Florida State will be playing UConn at noon. Drink plenty of water. You too, Corey. You're going to be out there watching baseball in Hoover. I'm sure it's not going to be much better.
Well, it's so early in the morning, it won't be hot.
Yeah. To be happy for a day, read a book. To be happy for a week, take a wife. To be happy forever, make a garden.
Oh. Teach a man to fish, and you feed him for a life. Isn't that the saying? Give a man to fish, he's going to die tomorrow.
You give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day.
Right.
Teach a man how to fish, he'll eat for life. Yeah. I don't know. I thought it was great. I might get that tattooed on me in like old Chinese letters.
I don't know if I like the wife part of there in the middle.
That's
you
fine.
said to be happy for a week?
Yeah. Well, because then, everything gets all,
I feel like
mundane.
why the happiness from a wife lasts longer than a week. Am I right, Shanna? You had multiple years of sort of pseudo-happiness. And Stephanie is in marital bliss right now. That's lasted longer than a week.
I saw that photo of you guys from the Register Sausage event, and you guys are the best couple, man. You guys, she's looking good. Good job, Corey. You've done good. Corey.
Hey, thanks. And good. Hey, she's done well, too.
Yeah, it's all right.
We're in this together.
It's all right. All right, we're done. But we'll have plenty of coverage of the entire Super Regional. So stay connected to warchant.com. Obviously, we'll have all the interviews afterwards. And, yeah, if they win 2 games, Corey, we're going to have to figure out a way to patch you in with Ira. We got to, man.
Yeah, yeah, we will. We'll do it.
Which is crazy. I mean, they were there 5 years ago. 5 years ago.
5 years ago.
Man, what a great team to root for. What a great like a university. Like we sit here, oh, boo-hoo us. We're awesome all the time, even when we're not. Thanks for listening to another edition of Wake Up Warchant, presented by Vitamin Energy.